What is a Mormon? What do they believe? What makes them so distinctively different? What do you know about the Mormons? The best place to go when seeking information about a people is to that people themselves. For this reason, we have brought you to Salt Lake City, Utah, headquarters of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and to the historic Tabernacle on Temple Square. It is my pleasure to introduce...
I was born into the Mormon Church, baptized at 8. My parents were pretty agnostic. My father briefly joined the Mormon Church just to marry my mother. When I was 14, my parents divorced, and then it was a year later that I came out to the Mormon Church. I came out to my seminary teacher. I thought that he would be really fair and a friend. I felt more like he was a friend that I could go to with a problem and that he could somehow help me. Had I known what I know now, I wouldn't have done that. I mean, he tried really hard, but basically all he did was turn me over to the wolves. And he immediately contacted my bishop, and my bishop contacted my stake president, and then thus it all started. My journey into the belly of the beast, 10 years of negotiating my way through the Mormon Church's torturous program for reorienting or curing homosexuals, trying to turn us into heterosexuals.
Probably around age 12 or 13, I was aware that I was gay, or that, although I didn't identify it as that, I was aware that I was homosexual because I knew that I'd read the definition, realized that there were some treatments, or allegedly psychologists could treat it or something, psychiatrists. One thing that it pointed out was that they usually had more success with younger people than older people, and I was wondering if I should tell my parents and maybe seek some kind of treatment, but I was just totally, it was totally a secret.
I think at the age of 16 is when I looked in the mirror and said, "You're gay," and it's not just some adolescent or pubescent thing. This is like, it's real, and it's here, and it's not going to change. I really didn't doubt that my feelings would change. But I just was hoping that I would be able to keep it in check. And I think I looked at my sexuality as something as a handicap that you just work with and still do the right thing. And I was really devout Mormon myself as well. Even as a younger child, our family was the type that would, gather on your knees in a circle for prayer every morning at 6 o'clock, and family home evening was always attended. It was required. So some people might consider that fanatic, but just really, we were Mormons.
Out there are millions of the children of our Father in heaven. They go about their daily activities enjoying part of the truth of their existence, but not all of it. And it is up to us to share the light we have.
I think at about that time that I came out to my seminary teacher, I had read Spencer Kimball's book, The Miracle of Forgiveness, and it had a chapter in it called The Crime Against Nature, and in very certain terms described the evilness and sinfulness of my condition, and used really awful words to describe me and my feelings and my desires, words like repugnant, evil, malicious, pernicious, disgusting, vile, things like that. Well, I started doing counseling with the bishop and with the stake president, and then that summer, when school was out, they told me that I needed to go down to BYU because there was this program down there that would help me to become heterosexual. And of course I jumped on it because they had told me, they had taught me that being heterosexual was the only way to be. I knew I wasn't, but I wanted to be heterosexual. So they said, you know, you need to go down to BYU, and I'm like 15 years old. And I didn't want my parents to know what was going on, or anyone in my family. And so they arranged it so that it looked like I was going down for a special genealogical program, and because they have these genealogical conferences down there. And so I went down there for that, and stayed in the dorms. And I was supposed to immediately go in and meet with the receptionist and sign papers and everything, the release form. And so I went in and sat down, and they kind of explained to me what was going on, and I was horrified by the whole prospect of what turned out to be vomiting aversion therapy. Well, they explained to me that they would place a Heparon lock in my wrist, and then they could hook an IV up to that, and I would be placed in a room alone and with a plethysmograph on my penis that would measure physical arousal. So when I started to get an erection, they would know. And then they would start to show me gay pornography slides. I don't remember if it was films or not, but I definitely remember stills. And I was supposed to go through this stack of photos and slides that they have and select out the men that I found attractive in various.
Had you looked at?
No, I was 15. I was 15 years old. I don't think. I mean, I had seen like a Playboy magazine, you know, just of naked women, but I'd never seen sex before at all. And so they were going to show me this gay pornography, and using the IV and the Heparon lock would inject an emetic drug into my system, and I would start vomiting while watching the gay pornography. And then they would switch it over to heterosexual pornography and inject a euphoric drug into me so that I would associate a feeling of euphoria with heterosexuality. I look back on that, and I think if they had offered me electric shock therapy, I would have done that. But I'm extremely phobic around vomiting. I was supposed to come back like the next day for the first treatment, and I just didn't show up. And then I called in sick, and then just ignored things. And then they just said, you just have to come in and tell us what's going on. So I went in and said, I can't do it. And so they wrote out a shaming letter for me, a letter of shame that I had to hand carry back to my stake president, telling him that I had refused to go through with the Lord's program for my cure.
But the truth of God will go forth boldly, nobly, and independent, till it has penetrated every continent, visited every clime, swept every country, and sounded in every ear, till the purposes of God shall be accomplished, and the great Jehovah shall say, the work is